Alright, got my Pi. Even have the memory card in it. I'm going to need 2, 3, 4 M58 bolts. Oops. So we still have 2 spares. Don't know what they're for, but yeah, there they are. This goes up here. These fit this? Yeah. We're going to use the other one. We're going to fit that one a little better. Not snug till I get all 4 in. There goes the phone again. We're just going to ignore them. I don't know who the number was. It's important to leave a voicemail. And apparently it was important. They left a voicemail. My phone, for unknown reasons to me, thinks that those are important. So it will remind me very frequently until I check it. Now that those are on the other side, I'm going to give these just a little snugging out. Oddly, these front two are kind of loose. There we go. And that back one. Alright. Pi's on there. I did leave this wire out. Thankfully I did connect it because that would have been a pain to get to underneath. But I'm still plugging him in here once I know the correct orientation for him. I'm not exactly sure what that's for. I bet we find out. Let's jump over to the instructions. Put them up so you can see them. So I just put the Pi on, as you can see. And the next one is install the connector. Alright. What matters which one's which? Oh, it does. So these have to go over the Pi. This side, because it has the through holes. And we're all the way down. Now You can still see the wires here. It said something about that actually. Oh, sorry about that. I guess I forgot to switch the camera around. So I pressed it down on there, over the end of the Pi, and onto these pins that stuck out of the control board that we already did. You see the pins of the Pi are sticking out here. And just put it on there. Let's go back to the instructions now. Alright, did that. So now we're supposed to put 4 more brass standoffs, M3 by 30s and M3 by 12s on the outside of the Pi. And put a servo arm here using the screw in the servo package. Okay. Oh, not that far yet. Let's get these standoffs on there. 3 by 30s. We need 4 of them. Uses 2 in the bag. And what size nuts or bolts? M3 12s. 4 of these. Oop. That's a bit more than 4. So bolt through here. The standoff on this side. Assuming this is for their next layer that goes up there. One thing about this black shiny acrylic, definitely attracts fingerprints. Yeah, my fingerprints are all over this stuff. I'm going to go back and tighten these just because I do know where, or I think I know where these go. I think they go to that other ring at the top. So I'll actually snug these down pretty. Ooh, that wasn't good. Give me that. So I'll actually snug these down pretty good. I mean, you don't want to crack the acrylic, of course, but you don't want parts coming apart or coming loose. So, all I'm going to do is just kind of hold it with my pliers. Give it a couple little turns, nothing dramatic. And then do the other 2. And I'm just doing them until they're like snug. Nothing powerful. So my guess is this goes up here on top of that. Boy, I'd be wrong, wouldn't I? This must go underneath. I bet this goes up here. Okay. Where the heck does this thing go? Not really lined up, is it? We'll come back to it. And this. Let's go back to the instructions. so we did that. Oh yeah, we gotta put servo arm from the package in here. Use 2-bit self-tapping screws. Battery holder. It doesn't give a lot of instruction there, but I know what it, oh there it does, okay. And then the nuts on the back. I was going to say I know what it's talking about. Alright, well let's get that servo horn. Now I don't know if it means the tiny ones. The only reason I say that is because those are the ones that will be running up there. Gotta jump ahead a little bit to where hopefully it shows installing that. Okay, so it is the little servo that's going to be going into that. So I'm going to use the little servo head. Okay. So we're going to use the smaller servos that run the camera and the sound, ultrasound sensor, basically the thing's head. I believe it's showing this one. Yes. And then the two other horns probably won't be using for anything. The littler short one here is the one that goes in the servo. Put that in there just like I did the others so it doesn't get lost or misplaced or stolen by the cat. Then we'll put him up here out of the way. And this goes right there. I believe they screw up from the bottom. Yep. Wow, that thing is tiny. But okay. Trying to match it up, see which one hits the center. It looks like it's going to be that one. Not cranking it down, just getting it started. So make sure the other one will line up. There's two holes on the back, already pre-drilled into the acrylic. Not pre-drilled, they're laser cut. You knew what I meant. Alright, then we can tighten these up now that we know it's going to center. And that's what we did. We made sure the center of that horn lined up with that hole that's in there. And then put the two screws in. And then that little servo will be on here, and that's what's going to turn its head. Now, if I was reading right ahead a little bit, we're going to be working with the battery boxes. And the battery tie-down thingy. Nice thing about these, they do have an on-off switch built right into them. So if you want to turn just the Pi on, for example, and do some programming, although I really would plug it in if you're going to do that. Don't want your batteries to die while you're programming. So jumping back over to this, and it's saying the M10, the countersink ones, and the M3 nuts. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. It shows the on-off switches towards this curved outside. On-off switches and the wires are on this side. Take the cover off. And it should line up on them. And it said the M3 by 10s countersunk. That would be these. We have 10 of them. We need 8. One more. And the M3 nuts. We need 8 of those. 5, 7, 8. We have 2 left of those as well. We're going to work with just one of these here at a time. Now these do not have any nylon locks on them. Drop of glue. Drop of Loctite. No, don't quite. Oh, they're a little fiddly. Okay, so don't tighten these up till you get all 4 in. They're adjustable. Of course, there's always one that wants to be difficult. Now this should fit that, and it does. Now the fun part, how do you hold and screw at the same time? And I'm going to do them diagonally, so it'll force it to line up. And yes, this is interestingly fun with just 2 hands. Third hand would be nice. And all I do is just tighten them up. No idea where this wire goes. Does it go in there? Does it go behind? No idea. Put this cover on here just so we don't have to worry about where it went. And we'll do the other one. And again, the holes are kind of fiddly. They give you room to adjust them. So don't tighten them until you got all 4 in. Otherwise, you may not get all 4 in. And again, a little piece of Loctite or a little drop, maybe even super glue, may not be a bad idea in this particular spot. These are just regular little machine nuts and screws. Nothing keeping them from coming out. No lock washers, no star washers, nothing. I don't have any Loctite here. Well, in this room. I have it out in the garage. But what I am going to do when I get it all done, and I know everything's good, I do have some Gorilla Glue. No gorillas were harvesting the glue. And I will put a little drop on each one of those. Cover on this one so he don't get misplaced. It would have been nice this wire was over there. Or flipped over. Okay. It is what it is. Let's jump back to the instructions. Alright, next step. That odd shaped one. Oh, this goes underneath and holds the batteries. That makes sense. So M3 by 20s and M3 by 12s. Go through it. M3 by 12s and M3 by 20s. Looks like we need 4 of these. Leaves us 2. And M3 by 12s, I'm pretty sure. So we need 8 of these. What do we get? We got 1, 4. We got a stowaway. So we need 8. And it shows these 2 bigger ones on this side and the 2 littler ones on that side, which corresponds to that. And which side is pretty? They both look pretty. Pretty covered up with fingerprints. This actually would not be a bad kit for a younger person who can follow instructions, can read the labels, because the labels are quite clear and pretty dexterous with their fingers. But then again, I'm doing it, so probably anyone could. I don't know. I know a couple of my nieces, nephews, neighbors' kids. I'd say just because of the strict demand of has to be done in a specific order and connected this way and this way only, I'd probably say this would probably be good for someone who's 10 years or older. I'm going to go through and snug these. And a pair of pliers and a screwdriver. Yeah, I'd say 10 or older. Shouldn't have too many issues. And, you know, definitely with adult supervision, because let's face it, kids today, if it ain't on their phone, they probably wouldn't do it anyway. Do we want it that way, or do we want it this way? Let me double check that. It is this way. That's what I was thinking. So I got them started. That way I have some wiggle room up here. I do want to check where these wires go. So I want to kind of trap them in there, but I don't know. Pretty sure they go in there. No, it doesn't really show. So I am going to put the wires in between. They could definitely be pulled out if they needed to be. Well, actually they come up here to this board. Well, they can be pulled back through if it's wrong. Actually, they might be better off coming up through there. I already tightened up the bottom, so they should snug up pretty good on their own. Good. I already hear those lids. I'm going to be putting black tape over them just because I don't want to hear that rattle. But let's tighten up the other end. Maybe that's all it was. Screws are certainly long enough. Take you 3 days and a week to get to the end of all of them. No, that's not true. So far, I think I only got a couple hours in this. I'll look when I'm done here. Oh, actually, yeah, it doesn't rattle. Good. Now, I did see something in there, though, about putting some more standoffs. Let's go take a look. So according to their instructions, we need some 3 by 55s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3 12s on the bottom. Okay. So let's do that. And 3 55s. That's these bigger ones. We need 6, 4, 5, 6. Some more M3 12s. Oh, there they are. We need 6 at the moment. Something else goes into those, but we'll come back to that. Somehow these got out of order. What happened here? Alright, done with those for now. Ooh, did they go up? Yes, they go up from the batteries. all in all, it's a pretty decent little kit. Instructions are good. Putting it together, pretty straightforward and simple. Only issue I've had is that wire for the LEDs. They went out of their way to mark the instructions, you know, that red and yellow go straight across. And the cord I have, the connector wire, matches the one in the instructions exactly the way it's supposed to be, so it's not a mistake, but does not connect the way they show it. So far, that's the only issue I've had. I'm also going to go back through and tighten these up as well. Just because I don't want these coming loose. This is the front, as I understand it. Could be wrong. Jumping back over to the instructions, so we got that done. Now they're telling me to assemble the legs. So at this point, fix the servos at the specified angle. This team, you need to run the servo program, which I'll come back to that. Oh, actually go into it here. So you can go into it and then you can run the servo program. The servos at the specified angle. What angle? Did I miss something? Going back a little further, because up here I think they were talking about. Oh, that was the audio. Let's go up a little further. Camera. That was the libraries. I don't see anything about any kind of specific angle to put them at. And then this here part they're talking about in putty. I didn't want to jump past that. Okay, so let's jump back a little bit. I'm just going to show you the programming that we did. Alright, so yeah, here's the link for GitHub. It's in the instructions. If you download it, it's there. If you have questions or if you want to go to their website, it's there. Here's the link for Raspberry, all the steps, the parts list. It shows that cable the opposite of what their instructions show. Battery and Pi needed. Obviously we know that. Hopefully you knew that. If you're looking for a Pi, you're going to be upset when you find out there's not one in that box. Okay. Nope, that we don't need. So this, it's basically telling you get a Pi, go buy it wherever, just get a Pi. Power requirements for each Pi you might have. In this case we're using the 3B Plus. Optional components you might want is a monitor, HDMI interface, all that. Hopefully you know how to use a Pi. So then they give the instructions down Raspbian or Raspberry Pi to it. Get an OS built in. Used to be called, yeah, Raspbian, used to be. Install that. We've done that, burned it, put it on the disk. Went to custom, picked up the Raspbian Buster, chose my SD card and wrote it. It's on there. Turned the Wi-Fi on, went into the VC viewer, opened up PuTTY. My numbers are different, but gives you all the instructions. Log in as the Pi commander or owner, and then you do all the XRDP install, and then remote in with the VNC. You have to be on VNC, you can't do it via PuTTY. Don't know what the big difference is, but there it is. And then you want to do that, well, that's automatic. The other one's on Windows. Once you're in the, there we go. You can set up your interface, turn the VNC on, go back to PuTTY, and then you're in the VNC. Then you should be here. You can set the resolution mode, make it look better if you want. Scaling, that's entirely up to you. Mine was fine. Connect your Wi-Fi if you haven't already done that. And then their website has the link to install the modules. It is also here. There it is. Okay, so you go to terminal, and then at the $sign you type this in, or copy and paste it if you're in VNC. Set up Python 3 as your default if it's not already. They show you how to do all of that. They give you a couple of shortcut keys on how to get to the documents. And then go back into the preferences, or the Pi configuration, which ones to enable, in this case the camera, the I2C, and then click OK. And then don't reboot at this point, because you're going to reboot later. And then you got to set up the mod probe, that's the ultrasound. You need to blacklist your sound files, and they go through all of this, show you how to set it up. I'm basically looking for anything about the servos. And then here you restart the Pi. If you have any errors, they tell you to rerun it. It'll run the second time. I didn't have any errors. Ran right away the first time. But I didn't see anything about the servos or specific angles for them to be set. Here it's saying run the servo installation program. Before installing, fix the servos at the specified angle. Before connecting them, so if they move around it doesn't hurt anything. Okay, before physically installing the servos, run the servo installation program. And then after you run it, then plug the servos in. Just trying to verify. It doesn't say plug the servos in when you run the program. Before installing, fix the servos at the specified angle. Plug batteries in the holder, switch it on, plug the battery into the control board. So that would include the Pi because it's running off of it. Switch the battery on. You have to have the Pi on as well, although it doesn't say turning the other one on. But if the Pi is not powered, it won't work. Okay, well, let's grab a couple batteries, put them in, plug them into the board, see what happens. I'm thinking it's saying run the Pi control on the board. Don't like not detailed instructions. Kind of leaves a little bit to be desired there. And we don't even have the two servos for the head even connected or put together. So I don't think it wants us to connect the servos at this point. We're just running the Pi and this board and running the program. That's for the little speaker. So no debris got into it during shipping and packing and stuff. Alright, well, let me go grab a couple batteries, get them put in here. And we'll plug it in. from there. And I'll be right back.